I just took my HYROX Pro Time from a 58.16 to a 54.28 in 8 months. In this video, I'm going to tell you the 3 main ways that I believe I improved so dramatically over the course of this last training block. My name is Rich Ryan. I am 1/3 of the coaching team at RMR Training with my partners, Meg Jacoby, the 2024 world champion, and Ryan Kent, the former North American world champion. We make content and coaching specifically for the HYROX athlete. So the 3 things that I felt like I improved on the most were changing the variety of specificity, the different metrics that I used when tracking my training, and also making sure that I was chasing the quality outside of the quantity. So let's start with the specificity. So in the past, I would be very specific around the HYROX sequence and the order of the actual events and the duration and the time, and everything was very HYROX, HYROX, HYROX. So like skier into sled push, into running, into sled pull. And there's definitely a place for this in your training, and I had it in my training toward the end of this block as well. But throughout the block itself, I changed a lot of the movements to make sure that I wasn't creating any type of inefficiencies anywhere else. And this became pretty clear to me when I did the CrossFit Open this previous year, that my upper body strength endurance was pretty poor. That was definitely a limiter in a lot of the workouts that I had to do. And so if that was holding me back in CrossFit, it could very well be holding me back in HYROX. So I made sure to put more elements that would still get me to the outcome that I wanted to get in terms of the feeling and the energy systems I wanted to work for HYROX, but it wasn't always just like sled push, sled pull, burpees. That sequence does matter, and the familiarity that you're going to feel for the race is important, but you can get the same stimulus that you want to accomplish in training with a variety of different movements. So I started to add in a lot of these different movements and found that I was getting maybe even better results during my workouts because I was able to keep my effort a little higher throughout the entire piece instead of having these big, long, grindy efforts of these stations that we have in HYROX that would just more or less slow me down. So some of the things that I started to add were deadlifts, dumbbell snatches, barbell cleans, barbell clean and jerks, double unders, box jumps, box jump overs, burpee box jump overs, just adding a different variety that are going to be adjacent to the movements and are going to be complementary to the movements that we're doing in HYROX, but not so specific. This also added a little bit more palatability in the workouts itself and allowed me to be more creative, which is really helpful when it's such a grind. Doing 8 to 12 weeks of just HYROX stuff can be almost too much, and by the end, it just feels almost burnt out. So having this variety was very helpful in the longevity of my training as well. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more about how we structure some of our workouts here at RMR Training, you can grab our free HYROX Essentials guide down in the caption below. It gives you 5 different workout styles that we like to implement and exactly how to implement them into your actual training block. So the second thing I did differently this time around is I changed the metrics that I was tracking. In the past, it was very much based around volume, total duration, and just the intensity that I'm going to aim for within that duration, right? So very linear in terms of trying to build volume week over week in these microcycles. This time I started to be a little bit more dialed in with my biomarkers, more specifically my heart rate. Each workout through the entire block, I had a different intent for every single workout in a zone in which I wanted to sit in. And that was how I progressed things. I progressed things based off of the numbers in the zones and how they played out each week instead of just being like, okay, today, last week was 5, this week is 6. Last week was 20 minutes, this week is 25 minutes. I still had a linear progression, but it was based more around the biomarkers that I was able to track in a hard and quantifiable way. In the past, I found that just building on the volume allowed me to hit a lot of workouts and hit big workouts, but I don't think I was quite getting to the intensity where I needed to be. And maybe in my other days, I wasn't going low enough in terms of the intensity, so it was hurting my recovery. And now I really had a specific area that I wanted to hit and made sure that when I hit it, it was clear. There wasn't as much guesswork that way. And the main thing that I came across with the heart rate training for HYROX is that it's a little bit variable in terms of how to understand like which heart rate you should be in for each of these movements because you're changing position so much. So I have made a video around heart rate training for HYROX. You can check that out in the description below. Just a way to kind of help you understand like what movements and how that's going to change based off of the metrics that you're reading from your watch. So I found this to be really important. It's definitely something I'm going to keep in my training going forward. So the last piece that I did really is kind of a culmination of the first two, and understanding how hard I was going in these workouts and making sure that I was going as hard as I needed to go. So I started to chase the quality of the workouts and not necessarily the quantity. Again, in the past, my progressions were built very much on just doing like a little bit more or adding a little bit further into the sequence of the HYROX event. And I had pretty good results, right? My results before were not bad by any means, but this is an exponential jump. And I started to really understand and take time to get as prepared as possible for the workouts that were going to move the needle the most. Instead of spreading things out across several different days and weeks and just trying to cram everything in so I can get better across the board at all these different elements in HYROX, I had a couple workouts that were the main focus of the entire week. And then everything else was based around getting to these workouts so I could hit them as hard as I possibly could. And so I can get the intent of the actual workout and get to the intensity where I needed to go. In the past, I'd just be getting through these workouts and I could physically do them. And I felt like that was a progress, and it would be hard and it would be a grind. And every day would be like really kind of fighting through something and trying to improve myself and just gritting my teeth to get through it so that I can hit this total volume because the race is so big and scary. But I found that I was not getting the intent of these workouts because I wasn't going hard enough. I wasn't intense enough, even though it felt like it in the moment. But as I started to kind of change my metrics and change the variety, it became clear that I wasn't quite getting where I needed to go to prepare myself for the race itself. And this was a big mental shift and a physical shift to kind of let myself calm down and focus on what matters instead of trying to cram everything in so that I felt like I was prepared and good at all these things. Really, I just needed to be good at the duration and the intensity. And that became the main focus of the training itself. And so the last piece here is that I just felt less stressed about training. And this is a huge part of performance because how I feel really does have an impact on the actual race day. So if I'm very stressed with training and with working and with everything else in life, and I'm taking things out and not adding things in and just out of whack, I don't feel fulfilled. So this block, I felt fulfilled. I did a lot of things in my personal life that gave me a little bit more balance for how I'm actually feeling. And this, I think, is huge. This is one of the softer sides of training that can't be ignored. Well, it can be ignored, but you'll just like really not feel awesome, and you probably won't perform well at the same time. So I put a lot of focus on the softer side of training, and I think that moved the needle quite a bit. So if you want to learn more about what we're doing here at RMR Training, some of the training programs and assets that we have for you, the HYROX athlete, you can take a look at our 7-day free trial for the RMR Training app. In the app, we have 7 different programs, including daily programming written by Ryan Kent, 12 weeks HYROX programs written by me and Ryan Kent and Meg Jacoby. We have a 16-week beginner program. We have running specifically for HYROX. We have a doubles program. Lots of good stuff that allow you to move in and out of your training so that you can flow with your training for the season that we have here at HYROX. Take a look at that down below. Talk to you soon.